I said, hi guys, except I didn't have my mic on, so I'm sure it didn't do any good. Hi guys, this is Mark Black, and you're on the channel. Mark teaches music, and this is the Q&A, live Q&A, and trying to find my little thing shows everybody and their questions, or their questions. So, today is the 7th day of September, and it's 2022. This is episode 15 of To Play and Sing. And in this live stream, I'm trying to answer all your questions about music. I cannot possibly answer them all. I don't know anything. I know actually a little bit about the sack but not very much. So lots of questions I can't answer. And I'll just say I can't answer them. But lots of them I can answer, about performing, about practicing, about learning, about mistakes and my own errors and things to avoid and things to do. And so anyway, so about being in an ensemble or different ensembles, kinds of ensembles, what things to avoid, all that kind of stuff. If you're interested and want more information about lessons, go to www.dallasmusiclessons.com. And if you got any questions, email me at mark@dallasmusiclessons.com, and I'll do my best to answer your questions. I want you to jump in and send me questions, and just put them in the chat. And I reserve, like I said, the right to say I don't know. And as you know, you need to hit the like button, hit the bell, you need to subscribe, and you need to leave me, put me in your will. And those are the things that need to occur. Okay, so let's go right to the questions. And here's the first question. And we're only going 30 minutes is our time now. 30 minutes, not 45 minutes. Okay, so how can you be more expressive in your playing? And that is a great question. Well, actually, I'm going to interrupt. Yes, that is a great question, too, over here in my chat. Let me answer this question first. How can you be more expressive in your playing? Well, quite literally, first off, there's the huge temperamental bias or predilection or tendency. So some people, as you know, and you people who live or alive out there, you know that some people are extremely dramatic. And they're really over the top, and they're really engaged, and they're really everything. And other people are very stoic, and very calm, and very like hold the fort and like that. And if we put those people on the extremes, get out of my way, camera. We put those people on the extremes, the really expressive people and the really stoic people. Everybody else is in the middle of that. So I'm saying that somebody who's very expressive in their playing tends to be very expressive people, and that doesn't necessarily mean demonstrative, but I'm just saying that is a comfortable, common thing they're doing. So meaning for many people it's learned. You have to learn how to be expressive. So here's this question: how do you be more expressive? So I mean, it may be foreign to some people and many people. So anyway, here we are trying to be more expressive. And so the first thing you would do, or the primary thing you would do, is try to exaggerate. So in your mind, and again, I remember this thing I said a minute ago about your personality, your temperament. That is your starting position. So probably, you can check it, you can ask other people, but probably somebody who needs to be more expressive, because I bet they're playing. So I'm saying, when you feel, crescendo like that, you may need to crescendo. When you say play soft, you're thinking, I'm playing soft. And you may need to be like, in your mind, just play as soft as humanly possible. And when you say staccato or short or choppy, it may be pop, 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 pop. And what other people need to hear is pop, 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 pop. What you need to do is, in your mind, pop, 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 to get pop, 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 which is actually about twice as long. So what I'm saying is, start off by exaggerating basically dynamics, all the aspects of dynamics, crescendoing, decrescendoing, louds and softs, exaggerate those things. And then the same thing for articulations. Smooth, make it the smoothest you can do it. Funky, which is short and choppy, make it as short and choppy as you can possibly make it. And then you can listen to a recording. You can ask your friends and say, does this sound stupid? Do I sound over the top? Have I overdone it? And most likely the answer will be no. In other words, you probably haven't overdone it. You probably just pulled yourself from vanilla, it's all just the same, to like, people are noticing that guy's expressive. Another thing, and probably The most important thing in music is rhythm. So I don't know. So this would definitely dramatically contribute to your uh, uh, expressiveness. Is that you think about the rhythm. And what I'm talking about is not your short-term rhythm. I'm just going to grab this. I have no idea what this will sound like. It says "Dirty Blues Rock." Hope it doesn't have any words. All right, here he goes. Dirty Blues Rock. This is a good example. So I'm saying I'm playing, and I'd be going, I'm playing. What am I playing? I'm singing, hey, yeah, yeah, da, 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 yeah, yeah. I don't care. I'm just making this up right. I'm trying to hit it. Boom. Don't anticipate it. Don't get ahead of it. Be right with that rhythm. Even if you're just going the chorus. Bang, bang, bang. Part. I'm singing. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh. Well, I can't believe it. That was a great example. So I'm saying emphasize the rhythm. Make yourself mold. You're right with the time. And then what is happening, the rhythm becomes something, and probably a better word, but my current word is proselytizing the rhythm, converting somebody to your rhythm. So you're playing, you're singing, and somebody's going, I don't like you, I don't like rock, I don't like your attitude, but the pulse is so exciting and dramatic, it's consistent and it's strong, and it makes me want to move my body, and I say this maybe is a cool song. So I said two things. How do you play more expressively? Number one, exaggerate what you already know to do. Try it. Try dramatic exaggeration of articulations, which is short or long, connected or broken, and dynamics, loud and soft, crescendos. Dramatically exaggerate those to where you feel like it can't be correct. It's got to be overdone. And consult the people you love and say, hey, how's that sound? They're probably going to say it sounds, I can't believe, I didn't know you could play like that. Probably, I'm not kidding. People do it all the time. And then the second thing I said was match that rhythm and not just correct. But if we went like this, we went, so we're that rhythm, we match it. It's like, man, we're just right with it exactly, and it gets exciting. No matter what kind of song it is, classical, same thing. Okay, expressive. Now, this question: how do you recover from a mistake in a performance? You quit. You quit music and you cease. No. How do you recover from a mistake? Well, everybody knows that's taking lessons with me. You keep freaking going. And again, I want you to imagine, now this is the great, if I do say so myself, this is a great comparison. So you're a football player, even non-American football, you're a soccer player, and you're running. Now I'm going to go back to American football because I have to hold. So you're running, you got the ball, and there's 11 guys trying to kill you. And so you're running, and a guy hits you, and not punch you, but he tries to tackle you. What do? You don't go, oh no, I've been hit. Oh. You don't do that. The guy who makes the touchdown or gets 15 yards, he keeps his legs moving and he's knocking that guy off, and he just keeps going like it didn't happen. He's not shocked by the fact that somebody tried to tackle him. He's not shocked by the fact that he got spun around. He's not shocked by the fact that it hurt. Or the guy's trying to rip the ball out of it. And what I'm saying, here's a mistake, and you're playing along, and it's just the best you ever played. You're all excited. It's wonderful. Like, it's so finally, it's beautiful. And then you forget, your finger an F sharp and an F, and you actually fingered an F because you got into it so much. So it's like, and it's just blaring on your song saying you suck. The song sucks. The best thing you can do is to keep going. Now, all of you, I know you all know who Christopher Parkening is. You should know. And Christopher Parkening is one of the greatest classical guitarists in America, or in the world, sorry. And studied with Segovia. And I just want to comment. I've heard him in concert play. I can't remember the piece. It was a guitar concerto with a lot of concertis. No, with the orchestra. And he got to this place, and he had his hand. He played a bar chord. He went, and he had his hand 1 fret too high, and it was not an atonal piece, so it did not blend. And it was like, and he played the rest of the piece flawlessly. And again, if you're taking lessons, I've used this before. But in 5 seconds, 2 seconds after that, you are wondering if you made a mistake. You're thinking, did I just imagine that? Because he didn't stop, orchestra didn't stop, nobody did anything. And so this is a mistake. Is like a leak on a submarine. You know, at those movies, the guys going, and there's water pouring out. And what do? They get everybody out of there and they close off that area. And they say, well, you can't go into the kitchen because of the kitchen area, whatever, the crew quarter, because it's flooded. And then they just go ahead and run the sub and shoot their missiles and do all the things they're supposed to do, because that mistake, that problem has been isolated. So we're trying to isolate that mistake, cut it off, not let it infect anything else. And so the first line of defense in creating that, and at this moment I'm talking about emotionally cut that mistake off. The first line of defense is, I know what to do when there's a mistake. I know how to handle a mistake. What do? I ignore it. I keep on going. I keep the time if I possibly can. In other words, if I miss two beats, make this note wrong and this note wrong, then I'm going to try to get these 2 notes left, beats in the measure correct. And if I have to get a whole measure, it's all screwed up, then okay, I'm going to try to get them on the second measure, keeping the time. If I can keep the time, and I'm not talking about the speed, I'm talking about the groove we did a minute ago about being expressive, a solid groove. If I can keep that groove, and I can get back in on one of those beats, and now I'm back, I'm compartmentalizing the mistake. I'm cutting that mistake off from the rest of my song. Yeah, I played, 42 measures correct. I messed up a measure 43. I'm going to play the next measure 44, measure 45 correct, instead of infected by the mistake I made on measure 43. So the first sentence would be to keep going, and then that starts to give you confidence that you can compartmentalize, cut off, limit the effect of that mistake. And what that mistake wants to do is infect, like COVID, it wants to infect the rest of the song. The rest of the song is screwed up because you were so shaken by that, and that you messed up measure 43 and measure 48, and you think you are doing it clear, and you messed up measure 57 and 58 and 59, And so what we're saying is, let's make that compartmentalized by first keeping on going, and then because you know what to do when you make a mistake, you have much more confidence about what to do. What if there's another one, do the same thing? And what people, when you do that, when you make a mistake but you keep on going to keep the time, what people think is, that guy can play, that girl can play, and they made a few mistakes. Okay, so there you go. That is a good question, and I want to tell myself what I just heard from me. Okay. Okay, what's the best way to memorize scales? Okay, now, probably, seriously, the circle of fifths is just a list, a way, and I can send you a copy of that if you ask for it, but it's just a way to memorize it. What I do with my students is the same as the circle of fifths, which is just to memorize good dogs always eat big fat cats. And that's for example, in the flat scales are 4 bandits escaped and didn't get caught. And the point is, the G scale 1 sharp, the D scale's 2 sharps, A scale, good dogs always eat. E scale's got 4 sharps, big. The B scale's got 5 sharps. What are the sharps? And it's the same list, starting on fat cats. Good dogs always eat big fat cats. So fat cats, good dogs always eat big. I'm just explaining, not my method, which I would be glad to tell you in more detail, just having a method. And the point is, just memorizing a straight up mnemonic device, and I know of 3, and if you can count, well, that good dog's always a big fat cat is the circle of fifths, C, G, D, A, E, B, like that. So anyway, just a mnemonic device, a memory device, a way to memorize them. And then it's a little hard to do it if you're not practicing the scales, if you're not playing the scales. So then we have, let's say that I can remember back in the when I was in not music school, high school, the B scale, trying to remember that A sharp. So you're playing the B scale and you keep forgetting and it sounds terrible. And you do it and you do it, and eventually, if you care about how you sound, you'll eventually at some point go, right as you get to the A sharp, you go, oh yeah, A sharp. Ah. So besides just your brain going A sharp, but also your fingers going and your ear going, I need to hear not this A you're fixing to play fool. I need to hear an A sharp. I need to hear A sharp. So anyway, a mnemonic device. The circle of fifths is as good as any, which is just a picture with a circle, and it basically goes no sharps, 1 sharp, 2 sharps, 3 sharps, 4 sharps, 5 sharps, 6 sharps, 7 sharps. You go the other direction, it's flats. No flats, 1 flat, 2 flat, which is, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, like that. And the two things we need to know about a scale is how many accidentals, sharps or flats, and then what are they. So just because I know that the key of E flat's got 4 flats, I also need to know that they are B, E, A. And this, just by the way, when you're playing and you're better, you mo better, and you know some of these skills, you're trying to get better at it. Good gracious, look at the time. But anyway, when you get better and you're trying to, when you are better, you like to mix these up. Like I'm going to play the E scale, I'm going to play the A flat scale, I'm going to play the D scale, I'm going to play the D flat scale, I'm going to play the C scale now, I'm going to play the E scale. I don't know if I repeat anything, because that's the way music comes. It doesn't come in nice little, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F. It doesn't come in nice little packages like that. But when you're learning, you need consistency. So all I'm saying is, play the G scale, and before you play it, say it's got 1 sharp F. Play the G scale. Play the D scale. It's got 2 sharps, F and C. Play the A scale. It's got 3 sharps, F, C, and G. So what I'm saying is we got 1 sharp, an F sharp, and then we added a C sharp. Just like the next scale's got the same as the D, but it's got one where it's got a G sharp. So you put them in order, and your brain and your ear and your fingers start going, this is the pattern. This is a pattern. And when you get like key B's got 4 sharps, F, C, G, and D, then and your scales are all like that. Then you can start, and you should start mixing them up, even randomly. Okay, so that's my answer to that, folks. Okay, the next question. How many lead singers does it take to screw in a light bulb? How many lead singers does it take to screw in a light bulb? Well, that is a great question. And the answer to that is 1. The lead singer holds up the light bulb and the world revolves around them. It takes 1 lead singer to screw in a light bulb. That's why. Okay. Okay, the next question is, what are modes and when should you use one in a solo? Basically, modes are just scales. And if you can imagine, this is a truth. I have a piano over here. Let's see if I can. I'll just play the sound. So there's, just for example, we think of the major scale. And what we're actually thinking of is, I'm just trust me. Another name for that is the Ionian mode, Ionian scale. But there's actually more than 3, but there's 3 common major scales. What we're used to is this sound. I'm assuming this thing is on. Is this thing on? So, C scale. Yeah, that's what we're used to, right? If I went like this, as soon as I played, what I want you to point out is this is a sound. We instantly hear the sound is wrong or right. We're not wondering. We may not know what I played, if I played a whole step or a half step, but I'm saying your ear. Remember now, your ear's the key. Your ear knows everything. It is like Rain Man. It can't tell you anything unless you teach it. But it is like that was wrong. You were wrong. And so ear training is about saying, okay, but what did I do? How do I fix it? So anyway, here's that Ionian mode, one of the major scales. This is the one we're all used to. And here is Mixolydian, a major scale, another major scale. Let me do this thing. Ha. Look, I have another mic. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Okay, so here is Mixolydian mode. Okay, and here's another major scale, Lydian mode. And so, songs that are based on, all your songs are based on modes in one sense, that the major scale is a mode, a natural minor scale is a mode, and that's called Aeolian mode. But to our ears, Western and 400 years past the modes, big mode time, Middle Ages, medieval times, we tend to hear major scale, the Ionian mode, and natural minor. It's just normal sound, so we wouldn't hear them as an odd sound. So basically, when we use songs that you don't use here's the scale, the pattern for Ionian mode. What we just da 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 da. That was whole half, whole half. So when we do a different set, let's say Mixolydian mode is whole half, whole half, whole. That it sounds different, and so we build a song on that. And let's take the Lydian mode, and so, for example, the song that went, that's wrong, bad example, because this piano sounds very strange to me today. Yeah, let's not do that. Here we go. Let's do this. So, and it just, the problem with our ear is going, taking us back to G. Because those notes I just played, if they're in the key of G, it's G Ionian. If we're in the key of C, it's C Lydian. Lots of people, and I'm not being rude, lots of people on the internet will be like, okay, you play C13 with a raised 11, and man, you should use that Ionian mode, Lydian mode, and you should. So here's the sound, here's the chord. So I'm going to go, here's my chord. I didn't mean to do that. Oh well, I'll just do this. And, anyway, so this scale, but really for it to be, so it's just, if you don't play a whole song with it, or let's say 4 measures or 8 measures, and you're just playing it over a certain chord, then I don't think it quite qualifies. I mean, it's a mode, it's a group of notes, but lots of times, let me get the perfect example. Sorry, let me interrupt myself, as I so often do, and say that, what's his name? Santana. Carlos Santana, all of his songs are in Dorian minor. Here's a natural minor scale. I don't remember what I'm going to do this, but A minor. Now here is, and then here is Dorian minor. This note is changed to 6th note, or so. If you think about it, this sound is every Santana song on the planet is. Oh yeah, come on, you got to change your evil ways, baby. I don't know how Europa goes, and that's a great sound, because kind of what we're expecting is, this is a A minor, we're expecting sort of a D minor, and instead we get a D major. And what people, including people on the internet, talking about music, ignore, or I assume they know, is not neglecting to say, is that a scale, we play the notes of a scale this way, linearly, then it's a scale, but we're going to take that scale and turn it this way and make chords out of it. And that's what a key is all about. The key is just what you do with a scale. It's a key. That means you build chords with it, you build harmonies with it, you build melody with it. So for example, when we do that Dorian ba 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 da 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 da, we build on an A. We go through those notes. So we take the note A, we build up the notes A, the chord that goes with that A, the first note in a minor key, it'd be A, C, E, it'd be A minor. If we go to the D, the fourth note, and we're using the Dorian with F sharp, then it's going to be D, F sharp, A, which is a major chord. That is, our scale has in this case, instead of scale, say the word mode, it's just a different word. Remember the A natural minor is A Aeolian. It's just a different name. We call it A minor or A natural minor, but we could also call it A Aeolian. So we take A Dorian. It means we raise the sixth note. Da 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 da. So we raise that fourth scale degree and we get a D major chord, D F sharp A. Now, you guitar players, you flute players, do you know that? No. Piano player does, because he's got to kind of get all that. Okay, I see another question over here. I'll have to answer this question. Okay, so here, but to finish this up now, modes. So if I was going to play over, this is another way of thinking of modes, is that if I was going to play over this, then I have to raise that. So if I'm going to play, because I'm getting an F sharp in my D chord all the time, I got to change that scale to use Dorian minor. Okay, so let's see here. All right, so what are modes? They're just different scales. And then what I add is that when you play any scale, again, here's the modes: Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, and Locrian. And there's all kind of things that aren't in that either. So there's a lot of names for this sound. So you can call that double harmonic, or you can people call it Hebrew minor, and there's other sounds than that. I mean, I think there's about 30 different scales. Just by the way, the question is, at what point people who are good are frequently focused on how hard can things be, or how, in a great way, you're like, oh, how skilled can I get? How that was pretty easy. Let me see, make it harder. But then the problem is that as we get less and less common, we get to where the usage and application of that is, I'm trying to get in the corner here. Here's the corner. It gets narrower and narrower, and less music, and less people want to listen to it. And I'm not saying that like we shouldn't do it. I'm only saying, do you have to learn 30 scales to be good? No. You maybe learn 3, and the 3 big ones would be major, minor. Didn't you say it? Major, pentatonic, blues, and then you can take that major scale and play every mode there is with it, and then so there you got all the modes and then you've got pentatonic and blues, and you can play most songs. I'm talking about like really everything, unless we're going to get into whatever Dream Theater or atonal music, or there's whole worlds, but not the most popular worlds. Okay. And I'm just commenting, when you do the modes, they create chords. So if you sit there and just try to change and add a note, and it'll say the song is dramatically in the key of C, and you try to play in the C Lydian, it may work and it may not. It kind of depends on when you hit that F sharp, that raised fourth. Okay, so here's this question. Okay, this starts with the word and so it means something is preceding it, and what preceded is gone. So let's see. And what level in playing would you suggest adding tools? Well, first off, now listen. I have several weaknesses. I know it's hard to believe. Don't anybody cry or anything. But one of my big, humongous weaknesses is gear, and it's like I don't see it as a virtue, and so don't misunderstand what I'm saying, but it's just like my brain just does not latch onto that. It's kind of like if I get things that work okay, it's like this horn, it's like if I was going to buy a new flute. I do not have this. If I had a new flute, I'd go research, hey, what are the best flutes And if I was rich or had plenty of money, I would buy the best flute, or this is the best family, a Powell or a Haynes, and then if I couldn't, I'd come down and like, well, this is still a very good flute. I can buy this flute. And then it's just basically, if you ask me again, a year later, I'd be like, I think it was I wouldn't come up with that bang detail. So at what level? So first thing in terms of adding sounds, like we're talking about the guitar, and then here I'm trying to think of the instruments that can do these things. The concert/orchestral instruments, they can do that. There is and it's wonderful, called progressive strings, where people are putting distortion on their cellos and stuff like that, and then it's really cool. But it's also not so common. So in general, those instruments can't do that. And I'm just thinking, I'm going to answer this question, but I'm saying, so the bass, there's distortion on bass, but not a whole lot. Some. So I'm just thinking, so we're mostly talking about, even on like a mandolin or ukulele, yes, you can do weird things on those instruments, unusual things, but they are that, not as common. So on most instruments, the only thing we would do, come to guitar, but it's just like reverb, some like I think it has a little bit of reverb on my voice. I know I have some on this piano. So, just to make it sound fuller. But now we're talking about guitar, which has got so many different sounds. So the first thing, at what level would you suggest adding tools? So I would say immediately, in the sense that if you can, nowadays, you should, when you buy an amp, you should get, and they're not very expensive, buy a modeling amp that's got, I think for $150, $200, you can get a modeling amp that's got 100 sounds without any knowledge. I'm talking about me not knowing all the details of gear, right? I'm saying, so like this, I got, I hate to do this. Well, I'll just do it. I think I can do it. This is plugged into my acoustic. Let's see what we get. I think I'm going to get... Oh yeah, perfect. Let's turn this down. Yeah. So it's just a button, right? Well, I'm going to have to play with a quarter because I can't find my pick. So I'm just saying, Another sound X. Oh yeah. This is on my acoustic. Oh, this one says Hell's Gate. We better not go there, guys. Okay. And what I'm getting at about all this is, and I hope I'm trying to say, I think from the beginning you should have some cool sounds that you think are nifty keno. And you're just like, whoa, I'm playing music and it sounds so great. And that goes for, like orchestral instruments. For example, I'm thinking about trumpet players, getting different mutes, to sound, like a jazz, wonderful harmony mute jazz sound. It's just exactly what you should do. And you shouldn't wait too long. It shouldn't be like, well, 5 years from now. No, it's more like, okay, I can play some stuff. And I'm talking about all these instruments. So I'm talking about the guitar players, I think that if you can, you should start with, like I said, a modeling amp that's got some great, cool sounds. And you go like, I want to sound like Eric Clapton in it, and that sounds pretty good. I want to sound like Stevie Ray Vaughan. that sounds pretty good. I want to sound like Eric Johnson. That sounds pretty good. Not perfect because Eric Johnson is a big tone freak in the sense that he says he can tell the difference between the batteries he puts in his pedal. Um, but in the sense that I want this to sound like jazz, and it does. I want this to sound like metal, and it does. Without, now this is my opinion, non-gear guy. I get it. I've been around many students and many musicians in many situations with the gigantic pedal board. You have two gigantic pedal boards because there's so many pedals, and those guys sound great. I'm not negating it. I'm just saying, as a non-pedal guy, and I wish I were, just a modeling amp so that I sound like in the ballpark of the cool sounds I want to sound. I think everybody should do that. And the only thing to remember is two things. It's just like working with a mic. You got to have a great voice without the mic, and then you put a mic in front of you. Wow, it's even better. And you also have to learn how to work with the mic. So, guitar, you need to do most of your practicing, and I'm talking about scales and things, without, if it's an electric guitar, yes, amplification, but with a clean sound. Because you will think that you're faster than you are, think that you're cleaner than you are, think that you're more precise than you are because of the reverb or the distortion or whatever you got in there that of course it's changing the sound. So you do a lot of your practicing, if not all your straight up practicing scales, arpeggios, chords, without no reverb, no change sound. And it's in the amp, because we don't want to change the way we play. It's amplified, but it's just very clean. It's exactly it. Then you got to know what distortion does to the sound. You got to know what the reverb does and what delay does, and a Stevie Ray sound. What is it? How? And it is so inspiring. So you got to spend time with that cool sound, exciting sound, and it just don't. It is going to just change your perception of what good is or accurate is. So let's see. Let me just see if I've answered that question. So if you can, and I'm just saying that the modeling amp of many different times. I have what do I have here? I have a Fender GTX 100, which I really like. And the point is, I've had 10 amps, 15 amps. I got a little Fender Vibrachamp in there in the garage. But I like this amp because I can sound like a lot of different things. And just in the same vein, I bought this is 25 years ago. I don't know gear, right? So I just go and find out what's the best. And I bought a Roland guitar synthesizer back in the day. I forgot what the name. This is a GR something, and the point is like it sounds like all these guys. And of course, a purist would say, no, you're not. That's so and so off of Stevie Ray. But to me, it sounded enough like Stevie Ray that I wanted to play like Stevie Ray, that I felt like that. So I think as soon as you can, you should get to where you could play those sounds like you like. And my only point is, buying pedals, hooray for pedals. So many people are wonderful who play with pedals. But if you don't know a lot about pedals, and also you're not willing to or can't exactly spend $1,000 for 10 different pedals, you don't know how to hook them up and all that kind of stuff, and I don't. I wish I did. Again, I wish I did. Then a modeling amp is the way to go, and it's a great sound. And about this question, as soon as you can play basically, essentially, go for this good sound, the exciting, dramatic sound. Don't use it 100%. Use it 50% of the time or something. You got all these skills. Wow, I'm really accurate. I can do all this stuff. Turn it on now. Play with it a bunch, and it's like, wow, this is excellent. And now I know how long that delay is going to last, and know how long it's going to connect, and all that kind of stuff. Okay, that is y'all tricked me. That was 41 minutes, and that is wrong. So I'm done. So for more information about lessons, go to www.dallasmusiclessons.com. And if you want to ask me a question, send an email to mark@dallasmusiclessons.com. As always, I want to see you next week, and I want you to have fun, and I want you to be awesome, and watch me. I'm going to push this button, and it's going to go off. Here's the one.